We have to do 2 more things to see if he's there.
Didn't want to go get bin Laden either. Doug Weed is a presidential historian and author of Inside Trump's White House. Dick Morris is a former advisor to Presidents Clinton and Trump and host of Dick Morris Democracy right here on Newsmax. Doug, I'll get to you first on this. Biden, you know, just completely fumbled this whole thing, but it's the haunting of history with him. He wanted to go get, he didn't want to go get bin Laden at the time because he didn't think it was a powerful political talking point. Now he wants to get out of Afghanistan. Now he can't decide or remember where he was. What do you say?
Yeah, this is really, really bad for him. This is a huge tragedy. I wrote a book called The Iran Crisis. In that crisis, there were 52 Americans held hostage. In this crisis, there will be thousands of Americans held hostage. This is a self-inflicted wound. Jimmy Carter didn't cause the Iran hostage crisis. Some say he flubbed it, didn't have America's military strong enough to be able to make the rescue. But Joe Biden has caused this by his action. This is a terrible tragedy. It isn't over.
Yeah. Well, Dick, I got to ask you about humanitarian aid and, what the refugees are doing over there, because right now there's a lot of people that need a lot of supplies and a lot of help because essentially when America pulls out of something, a lot of the infrastructure falls. What are you hearing about this?
Well, I hope your viewers have their seatbelts on. Usually it's hard to do that on a couch, but I hope you keep a seatbelt on when you hear this. The Biden administration is seriously considering extending $500 million of foreign humanitarian aid to the Taliban for the Afghan people. The budget for this year calls for $500 million of humanitarian aid, and the White House, a huge number of people in it, maybe the deciding group, want to continue that aid. Now, it used to be that we gave foreign aid to countries after they won a war, after we beat them in a war, like Japan and Germany. This is the unique time we're giving foreign aid to somebody that beat us in a war.
So, I talked to a couple people over at, Foreign Affairs and things like that down in D.C., and they said that as of now, it's paused. What are you hearing, though, further on that, Dick?
Yeah, well, they're hitting a pause button because they don't want to pass out the checks while there's no post office there to deliver them. But come on, the momentum for this is incredible. The idea that this isn't just laughed out of the White House, the idea that anyone could seriously come into a meeting at the White House and say, I think we should give foreign aid to the Taliban, is insane. It's ridiculous. And the fact that they're even considering it shows where their mindset is.
Yeah, well, speaking of mindset, we have an interesting thing I want to take a look at of Joe Biden. Roll it.
The NGOs taking out civilians and vulnerable Afghanis. They're doing it in a dangerous place to save other Americans, our Afghan allies, and citizens of our allies who went in with us. There's a greater danger from ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all these affiliates. The idea of, again, let me get back to the fundamental point I made. And so my guess is that no matter what, under what circumstances there's not a whole lot of Afghanis. There's a whole lot of Afghanis that just as soon come to America, whether they're any involvement with the United States in the past at all, rather than stay.
All right, so Doug, I want to unpack this word salad we just heard, but even Kamala Harris was in the background rolling her eyes. She knows she's on camera. She still did it.
Well, something that has not been, by the way, I love Dick Morris. It's good to see you on this panel, Dick. The one thing that I haven't seen on television, and I've been watching it all day long, this hasn't been explained. Many of the Americans, of the thousands of Americans in Afghanistan that they're leaving behind, are American citizens who were in the military, who retired, who should have come home to their wives and families, and the U.S. begged them to stay and go on contract and assist the Afghan army. There must have been some kind of congressional limits on the number of forces in Afghanistan. So there are thousands of American contractors who are ex-military, retired military, who never dreamed when they signed on to stay another year that the U.S. government would abandon them in Taliban territory. This is a great tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, where I come from, I came from a place where if you had bad guys, you went and got them. If you had problems, you went and solved them. You don't have to dilly-dally with the people you have, with all this bureaucracy right now. But it appears we're just not willing to do it. Doug Weed, Dick Morris, thank you very much.